Oh, hey. Aha! Science.
Oh, hey! Hope you guys are doing great today. It's good to have you back. Great to see you. Today we're talking about some cool stuff. Last time we talked about the optimal eyelash ratio according to a recent published science article. And that got me into this rabbit hole all about eyelashes. And so today we're talking about eyelash technology. We're talking about the evolution of eyelashes. We're talking about the optimal eyelash, biologically speaking. So it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be fun. And I mean, I can already hear you asking, like, eyelash technology? What is eyelash technology? I mean, what are you going to do? Like attach a little turbine to your eyelashes so every time you blink it goes and generates power? That's $1 million idea, and I'm going to let you guys develop it. No, when we're talking about eyelash technology, it's talking more about electronics. We'll get to there. So hang on. But first, we got to talk about the science behind eyelashes. What do eyelashes do? In order to understand eyelash technology, we need to know what eyelashes do for us, for biological animals. So here we go. Now, what do eyelashes do? How do they help the eye was the question asked in this study called Eyelashes Divert Airflow to Protect the Eye, published in 2015 by the Royal Society. And so this is a cool paper. Basically what they did is they made a wind turbine and they put eyelashes in the turbine to model the airflow around the eye. And they looked at a bunch of different animals to compare their eyelashes to see how the eyelash system works in animals. Now, the point of eyelashes have been talked about by multiple people. I mean, you can even just kind of brainstorm yourself. Think about what do your eyelashes do? I mean, you can imagine, when on a bright sunny day, your eyelashes can help shade your eyes from sunlight. So your eyelashes help protect your eyes from sunlight. They also can help prevent things from going in. You can blink and block it with your eyelashes. Your eyelashes might help deflect wind in order to help your eyes not to dry out. And some people have even thought that your eyelashes act kind of like a sensor, like cat whiskers, where if your eyelashes feel something, it's an indicator that you need to blink. And so these are some of the ideas going on in these researchers' heads, but they specifically wanted to test how do eyelashes help protect your eye from debris and help prevent evaporation from wind. And so in order to test this, what the researchers did was they built a wind tunnel, and they built some model eyelashes to put in the wind tunnel. They basically made a model eye complete with eyelashes. And so it's pretty cool. So here is a picture of that setup. And so this is what I love about science is just the amazing extremes that we can go to answer questions. I mean, I think about like Dumbo with his big old ears. He didn't have a wind tunnel to test the aerodynamics of his flapping ears, but we can test the aerodynamics of eyelashes with a wind tunnel like this. Cool stuff, amazing stuff. Man, I wish I had a budget like that to make a wind tunnel. I mean, the best I could do for this study would be a hairdryer and just blast it into my eye, which we all know would not be great. But with this model eye, what they did is they got a little bowl of water, then they put the bowl on a scale, and then they filled that bowl up with water. And so they knew the weight of the water. And then they put the model eyelashes around that bowl and put all that in the wind tunnel. And so what would happen is as the wind would pass over the eye, it would cause evaporation of the water in that bowl. As the water would evaporate, less mass would be in the bowl and the weight would go down on the scale. And so they were able to track how different eyelashes lengths, having no eyelashes at all, affected the evaporation rate, and the weight of the bowl. And so that was how they were able to track the evaporation, how eyelashes can protect against eye dryness. And then the other thing that they did is they kind of reversed the setup. And so in order to test how debris gets into the eye, what they did was they got rid of that bowl of water in the model eye and they put some water sensitive paper in it. And so when water droplets would hit the paper, it would cause a spot to form on that paper. And then basically what they did was they got a humidifier, put the humidifier in the wind tunnel, so air droplets would come splatting across, would go flying through, splat onto the paper, and they were able to count and measure the water droplets that got into the eye, which was a measure of foreign contaminants, debris, water, dust getting into the eye at these different eyelash lengths. And so it's a little ironic that one setup, the water was already in the eye, and the next they put the water in the air in order to test debris coming into the eye. But that was the basic setup of this. And then what they also did was not only did these physical experiments, but they also made numerical models. And then when they used wind dynamics calculations in order to model the airflow across the eye surface. And so using these two tools together, both the actual model and then the theoretical calculations in a numerical model, they're able to test and figure out the optimal eyelash length for protecting the eye. So let's look at some of those results. So you can see here in this picture what the bottom of that graph is. That's the eye surface, and those blue arrows, that is the modeled wind velocity. So if the blue lines are longer, it means the air is moving faster. It means that more air is reaching the eye. It means more evaporation. If the lines are shorter, the wind is moving slower. And in the paper, they basically described three different points, three kind of end members, you could say. So one was no eyelashes. One was that optimal eyelash length, which they found to be 0.35 of the eyelash length to eye width ratio. And then one of longer eyelashes, so longer than that 0.35. And so you can see in these graphs that for the no eyelashes, the blue lines, again, the wind velocity is moving faster. And so again, remember, if the blue lines are longer, it means the air is moving faster, more evaporation. And so you can see that for no eyelashes versus longer eyelashes, that the lines are much longer than with that optimal eyelash ratio, where you can see that divot in the graph where the wind velocity lines go down. So why is this the way that 0.35 eyelash length to eye width ratio is the most optimal eyelash length? Why does that help protect your eye the most? Now, the science can be kind of tricky just to visualize in your head, and so I made my own model eyes so that we could better demonstrate what's going on in these graphs and better demonstrate how eyelashes can help protect the eye and how this theory can be used in order to make eyelash technology for electronics. So I worked really hard on these eye models, and so I hope you appreciate them. So I worked hard to make this. It might just look like a plate with a sticky note, but it took time. Anyway, so here is our model eye, similar to what they had in the study. And so you can see here's our eye, has no eyelashes. This is our no eyelashes model. And so you can imagine the wind coming face on, smacking your eye like this as you're walking down the street. And as the wind comes in, it'll pass over your eye, and if your eye is wet, it'll evaporate some of the water on your eye. This is my model for an eye with eyelashes, that optimal ratio, because you can see it's like a bowl. So you can imagine the edges of the bowl are your eyelashes, whereas this one has no lift, doesn't have any eyelashes, just flat. The bowl has this catching eyelashes. So eyelashes, no eyelashes. See? One is thick, one is thin. So again, what's going on here is here you have your eye, no eyelashes. It's just flat. Nothing's protecting it. As you're walking, the wind comes, hits your eye, and slides off. Nothing to protect your eye. So that's why we see those high blue lines, that high wind velocity reaching your eye. Whereas with this one, the bowl, where it has eyelashes, when you turn it on its side, the air inside of this bowl, it's kind of like a little air pocket. There's some protection. There's this stagnant air that your eyelashes are keeping intact, keeping hold of in front of your eye, like the sides of the bowl. So when the wind comes, it hits this stagnant air pocket and then it slides off. And so the stagnant air pocket doesn't move. It's trapped by your eyelashes by the side of the bowl. And so the wind passing just glides right by it. But now it's time for those sassy, long, gaga eyelashes. See, look at this. Beauty. Beautiful. You know, one time I pulled out my own eyelashes. Didn't even bat an eye. Anyway, let me get that long eyelash model for you guys. Here we go. So here we have our normal eye with eyelashes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on these eyelash extenders right here. Oh boy. Panic. It's not working as I thought it would. Getting different eyelash extenders. We got the beautiful eyelash extenders. Now, here we go. And so here we have our eye with eyelashes, the bowl, but we added these extenders. See? And so, beautiful. See, look. Oh my. Sassy. Anyway, so now that we have these eyelash extenders, let's see what happens when the wind comes. So here comes the wind. So here comes the wind. Basically what happens is we have the same eyelashes causing that stagnant air pocket, but the eyelash extenders almost act like a funnel. So it actually is diverting more wind towards the eye. So you're coming in, the wind goes whoosh, right towards the eye. And so that is why we have this little Goldilocks zone. When you have no eyelashes, you have no stagnant air pocket protecting your eye. When you just have your regular eyelashes, you have a stagnant air pocket protecting your eye. That's locked in by your eyelashes, but with the eyelash extenders, long eyelashes greater than 0.35, it makes a funnel and the wind just pounds your eye. Nobody wants that because not only does that wind cause more evaporation of your eye, causing more dryness, but what they found with that paper that caught the water droplets with the humidifier, it also caused more water to reach the eye. And so ideally, the ideal eyelash ratio was 0.35. That was what they found, both through the physical model of our eye in the wind tunnel and through the numerical calculations using the wind dynamics, Reynolds number, all that good stuff. Now, what's really cool was that the researchers wanted to know if this 0.35 eyelash to eye width ratio, that ideal wind protection eyelash number, could apply to other species other than humans. And so what they did was they went and they measured the eyelashes of a bunch of different animals. I mean, it was like beauty parlor central in the lab as they were measuring the eyelashes of deer, giraffe, elephants, goats, you name it, they measured it. Well, like 22 species, so only named 22 species. But what they found was they plot all the results in the graph here. And so the solid line, that's the best fit, the linear regression best fit, and then the two dashed lines are the 95% confidence intervals. And you can see that these the species plot along that line, which when you do the math, it corresponds to 0.35. So I should have said this in the beginning. The x-axis, that's your width of your eye, and the y-axis, that's the length of the eyelashes. And that line basically is similar to that 0.35 ratio. And so with that, we see across species, we have developed this optimal eyelash ratio that was calculated in the lab. So evolution, through biology, we naturally came upon the ideal eyelash ratio just through the eons of time. Why? Because it works. That's why. one important thing to note here is that they only measured mammalian species because all the air calculations, airflow dynamics were simulated under a mammalian walking environment. So it'd just be the wind generated while a mammal is walking. Now, they also did measure some birds because birds, they don't have eyelashes, but some birds have these feathers around their eyes similar to eyelashes. And when they measured the birds, the eyelash to eye width ratio was much higher than 0.35. And no, they're not sure for sure because they didn't do a lot of research into it. The hypothesis here is that birds, while they're flying, they fly a lot faster than a mammal walks. And so the air that the birds are experiencing is much more turbulent. The birds are moving faster. They have a higher wind velocity. And so they need a higher, they need a different eyelash system. They need longer eyelashes to help protect against those turbulent winds. Whereas when a mammal walks, just gently walking, it just has a nice little breeze, a laminar flow that the eyelashes can easily protect. Whereas the birds have a turbulent flow and they need a longer eyelash system. So, only for mammals that the 0.35 works. And guess what? We are mammals. Yeah, go mammals! Now, of course, biology is messy. I mean, not everybody has that exact 0.35 ratio. And not all the species did. You saw there's a lot of scatter in those lines, but they did fall along that general trend. And that's because everyone has different bodies. I mean, if you have tear ducts that produce more water, you don't need as much protection against evaporation because your tear ducts just naturally make more water. And some people blink more. Some goats blink more. There's a lot of variability here. And so that's why I don't get too caught up like, oh no, my eyelashes don't meet the number. It's okay. You're still wonderful because you are who you are. But because everybody is different. So there's lots of different checks and balances, levers and knobs in order to affect the eyelash ratios. But what's really cool is that now that we've seen this in biology, we've seen that evolution is driven towards this number. We went to our lab, we made eye models, and we threw them in the wind tunnel, and we did advanced calculus for crying out loud in order to figure out the best wind dynamics through theoretical models. So we know optimal eyelash ratio, and we can use all this data in order to better our technology. So let's talk about that eyelash technology because think about it. Eyelashes, wonderful filters. That's what they do. They're blocking the wind. They're blocking debris from getting into your eye. So think about all the places where we don't want debris. Computers, electronics, these areas that are susceptible to moisture and dust. The thing about regular filters is that they clog up. I mean, think about your vacuum. I mean, here, let me get my vacuum. Normal filters, they get clogged up by nasty dust. Oh, nasty. That was dustier than I thought it would be. Nasty dust and debris. And think about these finicky, finite, delicate electronic systems, especially in hard to reach areas, that the filters get clogged up by dust and they need to be cleaned and they need to be changed. Your eyelashes, they don't get clogged up. I mean, except for like those eye goobers when you're sleeping, but we're not talking about eye goobers with electronics. And so if we can just develop these kind of bristles that can create stagnant air pockets that can protect electronics, then we can have a nice filter that doesn't need to be replaced nearly as often. It's cleaner, it's more efficient, and we can better protect our electronics from moisture and dust. And so who would have thought that something as insignificant, seemingly as insignificant as our eyelashes, would have this amazing evolutionary driven factor that matched these numerical predictions through wind dynamics, and then we can use that to protect our computers. It's amazing. And so it just goes to show you that even the little things, something as beautiful as these eyelashes, can make big changes. So anyway, with that, I'm going to go. We'll see you next time. Ciao.